So hi, I'm Steve Ronaldson, and along with being a co-founder of Infamy Fantasy Esports, I'm a pro gamer flameout. I tried my hand at being a professional Super Smash Bros. Player in high school, and despite hours of competing in cramped convention centers and events that should have been sponsored by Speedstick, all I got out of it were sore hands and some new friends. Not everyone can be a professional gamer. It takes countless hours and some natural ability. But just because you don't make the NFL doesn't mean you stop loving football. I've watched esports rise over the years, filling stadiums and Twitch servers with passionate gamers that all wish they could be the pros they're watching, to make a name for themselves while competing for huge prize pools. We're here to give them the opportunity to become champions in their own right. Infamy is a weekly fantasy esports platform modeled after DraftKings and FanDuel. Users sign up, enter tournaments based on prize pools, and use an in game salary to form a dream team of top gamers, each priced differently based on their most recent performances. The Infamy user whose team has the best combined stats at the end of the tournament wins the prize pool, everyone else's entry fee. Infamy allows users to engage with their favorite players in a brand new way by using their gaming knowledge for a chance to earn prize pools, compete, and make a name for themselves in the gaming community, even if it's as the guy who just took all your money. Esports is a huge market. In 2020, the evaluation of the esports industry was 1.1 billion, which is pretty cool. But you know what's cooler than that? 3 billion, the size of the fantasy sports market in 2020. Infamy is a platform that brings two huge and rapidly growing industries together, fantasy sports and esports. Infamy can capture a large part of both of these huge scenes because it has something for everybody, from fans to teams, data analysts, streamers, bloggers, and your traditional gambling degenerates. We're here to elevate all aspects of esports by increasing the content, the engagement, and the investment. We're giving fans skin in the game in a dynamic way that will keep them hooked. In 2020, we debuted our product with Fantasy Fortnite. Fortnite is a gaming behemoth with 250 million users and a strong esports focus thanks to their regular tournaments and big prize pools. It's also a great example of what an incredible market gaming is. Despite being a free game, users spend an average of $85 on it. That's more than the average retail cost of paid games, all for shiny cosmetic items that don't impact your gameplay but allow you to show off to your fellow gamer as you blow their head off. And don't believe the hype that gaming is a children's space. The average gamer is age 18 to 35, the perfect target demographic for money wagering. And if you're at all familiar with gaming, you know the prevalence of live streaming. Top players and personalities command dedicated fan bases that pay a subscription to watch them game. Streaming has created a bond between players and fans that no other medium can, which make them the perfect audience for fantasy esports. Our business model consists of three primary functions. Freemium allows any user to play Infamy regardless of age or location, and lets those unfamiliar with daily fantasy get a trial run. Next is cash tournaments. We're not a casino. We won't be paying prizes out of pocket. We're tournament hosts. We compile entry fees from participants that make up the prize pool, and take a percentage of entry fees going in and again when earnings are withdrawn from our platform. The key is how we combine these two systems. We won't be hosting separate free tournaments and paid tournaments, but hosting them together with a certain number of free and paid slots in each. So, say you enter as a free user and you come in first place. You win some bragging rights, but then you see in fifth place is the highest scoring paid user. He's taking home the cash that would have been yours had you done a paid entry. This system allows us to turn eligible free users into paid users over time. And we've recently expanded into offering white label fantasy tournaments for independent competitions and leagues, as a way to instantly add value to your event. We have two great Tier 2 leagues looking to utilize our system in Amuka Esports and Seagate. We know our audience because we are our audience. Gamers care about competing and showing off when they win. Our gamification elements are going to fuel that competitive drive. Fantasy tournament winners will get to show off their customizable victory screens to all the other users they've defeated, with the top performing Infamy users being lauded on our overall leaderboard. We also allow victors to promote a link of their choice, whether it's their personal stream or, as we've seen, charities and GoFundMes. We're not just using them as a cash grab, but giving them an opportunity to promote and express what's important to them. We're also going to be partnering with pro gamers via our user code system and have been interacting with gamers in online hubs like Reddit and Discord. And finally, we'll be developing our own community and brand through content creation. Fantasy player highlights, user shoutouts, and our Infamy Esports podcast, which has gained over 9,000 views in the past few months. We want to grow a culture of doing everything possible to win and top the competition. In the United States, daily fantasy sports has been classified as skill-based gaming and does not adhere to the same regulations as online gambling. Fantasy esports is 100% legal in all but 7 states. Each state has their own regulations for DFS, but it's trending in a positive direction across the board because of recent elections. Fantasy esports is a relatively new concept, but there are a few companies on the scene. Established fantasy sport companies like DraftKings and Monkey Knife Fight have branched out into esports, but it really just amounts to just a tack on to their existing product. They have no intention of catering directly to gamers. Other esports exclusive fantasy companies focus primarily on season long fantasy, which requires a long term commitment and has limited cash prize opportunities. Infamy is a fast paced experience with both paid and free contests. We plan to win gamers over with game features they know and love, as well as our rapid expansion into all esports. We've explicitly focused on underserved esport communities so far to win gamer favor instead of going straight for the expected big titles like League of Legends or CSGO. Our cash tournaments provide a minimum 5% take per transaction, including both deposits and withdrawals. Our year one goal is to achieve an average user spend of $25 over 12 months. We also have additional income sources through cosmetic items, sponsor partnerships, and white label tournaments. Once the product's fully fleshed out, our overhead is very low and will stay low regardless of user increase. Our additional spend will focus mainly on marketing, licensing, and small enhancements to the user experience. Esports has long struggled to find a way to monetize itself. Infamy is here to provide an outlet for fans to spend money, guided by the chance to get some in return for once. The financial potential here is massive and doesn't have to stop at fantasy. We have the potential to become the de facto wagering hub in esports. We're looking to raise $500,000 for our first round, offering a safe agreement with 20% bonus equity. Our primary focus is going to be getting the product up to the high standards of the gaming community with features that will get them and keep them hooked on Infamy, as well as marketing outreach to make Infamy a household name in gaming. But we're not just looking for funds, we want a strategic partnership. There are many creative implementations of our platform and brand, and we want someone on our team that's ready to help us take full advantage of them. So who are these guys asking you for all your money? The Infamy team is a group of lifelong gamers and friends with backgrounds in software development and the entertainment industry. We grew up gaming together and competing as a team in Halo tournaments. We understand the gaming audience in the esports space and can predict trends and habits. We're young, hungry, and looking to exceed all expectations. You'll never have to worry about hurting our feelings because we have none. We want all the criticism and guidance you've got because all that matters to us is making Infamy a success. We've made Infamy what it is today off nothing but the sweat of our brows, reaching 1,000 users in under a year, and adopting fantasy esports for Fortnite and Apex Legends with Valorant, Rocket League, and more soon to come. We've thrived in the grind and are looking for partners to help us bring Infamy to the next level. We've already partnered with top advisors and cultivated strategic partnerships to utilize their experience and resources to allow us to capitalize on our knowledge of the esports scene. While Infamy is still in its early stages, the rapid progress we've seen means we know that Infamy won't just ride off the growth of esports, but be instrumental in its rise. We're looking to pioneer a new market in gaming by providing gamers of all skill levels the opportunity to claim the crown. Become so great that everyone hates you, but you don't care because the view from the top is so sweet. That's what it means to achieve Infamy.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you
First, he gets
guys.
our
I
name wrong,
appreciate.
then
Hey, yeah, no, guys, great presentation. Thank you. You guys might not know this, but I sold a skill-based wagering company in 2015.
Oh wow.
It was called World Gaming at the time. So I'm incredibly familiar with your business, your model, the pros, the cons. So good and bad. I'm going to throw you in the lion's den. But where are you guys based out of originally?
LA.
LA based. Okay,
yeah, half
great.
our team is in LA, the other half in New Jersey, actually. So we kind of have both coasts covered.
Tremendous. Well, Steve, really nice job on that presentation. Incredibly well delivered, and I enjoyed it. I think, fantasy esports is an area that I've done a lot of research on, very familiar with. Not so much Fortnite or Apex Legends, but really around, League of Legends and Counter Strike are the two that I'm most up to date with. Let me ask you a quick question. So, how do you get to the 2.5 million valuation? Just walk me through that, and I'll take it from there.
Yeah, so the evaluation is actually $2 million, Neil, and we get to that based on our rapid growth we've seen in the past year and comparable fantasy sports companies like Monkey Knife Fight, Esports Ones. We feel that the stuff that we plan to offer with customization and gamification, adding that to fantasy sports, puts us way ahead of our competition and gives us that edge over them
Okay.
as well.
Sorry, Darren, just to clarify, you said 2 million?
Yes, 2 million.
2 million. Okay.
Yes.
Um, would it be the 500K for 25% then? Or would it be,
It's actually a safe agreement for 20%
Yeah, it's a
bonus
safe.
equity. So we're
oh,
Yes, yeah.
perfect.
So
Thank
we're
you.
asking for 25% of 2 million for
Awesome.
500K is the total ask. Yeah.
I got you. Thank you for clarifying. So understood on the valuation. Maybe walk me through if you think a user will spend $25 in their first year, you hope to take, correct me if I'm wrong, 5% would be the expectation from a management fee?
Yes, minimum.
Okay, minimum. So let's just use that as an arbitrary number. So $1.25 would be the annualized revenue from that user. Currently, your cost to acquire a user would be 68 cents, if I read the deck correctly. So maybe explain to me the 500 grand, the use of proceeds. I know you broke it down in those four different buckets. So just walk me through what year one would look like from the use of proceeds from the 500K.
Yeah, so for year one, our plan is to develop out our white label tournament system, which is where we host custom tournaments for people who have fantasy esports leagues. So we've, like Steve said, we've been very grassroots and from our bootstraps, so everything has come out of pocket. So we want to develop this white label system so that way we can start to fund our development process. And with that development process, we want to add features like new games. We just recently added Apex Legends to the platform, but we would like to add Valorant and Rocket League as well. And once we have those games, we would like to shift into paid, which I don't know if you saw on the chart, but at the end of year one, Q4, we plan to shift into paid and start focusing on having those offering paid tournaments for our users and start compiling those entry fees. So our plan is to basically build up white label until we can support and fund that paid functionality.
yeah. Just to
Understood. I
clarify,
appreciate that. Go ahead,
we
Steve.
take 5% on the entry fees, and then when users want to withdraw from the system, that's another 5% charge. So we're getting 10% total there.
I understand. I don't love the charge on the withdrawal, but you might want to
Within the
reconsider that.
system, you won't
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah,
Understood.
yeah.
My next question is geared towards the white label and why focus on building white label opportunities in a time when your brand isn't well known? Why not just try and go blinders on and present the Infamy Fantasy Esports tournament powered by A brand, X brand, Y brand, whatever it is, instead of helping to build other people's presence in the space from a company perspective or a brand perspective?
That's a good question, and that enables us to get things like sponsorships, and it also separates us from our competition in some of the pitfalls of fantasy. A lot of fantasy applications do things like offering a when you sign up, you get $500 free on your first game, and that hurts your customer acquisition costs. This allows us to not have to worry about doing promotional things like that. We can fund the platform with the white label and take off some of the brunt of the fantasy pitfalls. By doing that, that's why we want to focus on white label first to like build ourselves up and build that foundation for the company. And then once we have that, we can start expanding out on the company itself and the development process of the platform.
Right. So,
Yeah, and
so your
also just
expectation would be the white label solution, you would be able to share the database with the brand that would hire you to build out the white label. So that's how you would
Yes.
build your foundation at a minimal to no
Yes.
cost. Understood. Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, we just also see the we follow esports and we see the issues in tier two, so it's a really good opportunity to help bolster the tier two scenes and kind of not invade, but invade all those communities and get Infamy known from the ground up in all the smaller communities, and then that'll really feed into the more large scale esport scenes.
yeah. and it makes us independent from unpredictable tier one esports schedules as well.
Gotcha. Well, tier twos are unpredictable, also. That's for sure. Chris, I'll ask one more question and throw it over to you. And let me ask the 800-pound gorilla here in the room is, why Infamy over guys like FanDuel who bought Alpha Draft in the early days? I think that was 2015 or 2016, or DraftKings, or some of these other folks that are really getting into it in a big way. Is why now and why compete with the giants in the space is the question.
Yeah, that's very very loaded question. A lot of people have asked that, and fair, but we see ourselves as different from the competition in essentially a lot of these other applications, Esports One, FanDuel, DraftKings, they're just a glorified spreadsheet. Infamy plans to be a game in its own right with our gamification methods, adding customizable victory screens, skins, cosmetics for your in-application profile. We're treating fantasy as a game in itself. Also, with our Infamy leaderboard, you can see how you stack up against other users. A lot of these other companies just you enter, sign up, and check back and see your results. We're trying to make a platform that has a community built around it and is a game.
Gotcha. So you're creating a social network that just happens to be built around fantasy and esports.
Correct.
Yeah, we want to be a hub
Thank
for
you.
all esports fans.
That's great. That's helpful.
Yeah,
Thank
actually,
you both.
can
No
you
problem.
let's go into more detail on that? Look, because obviously you have to stand out, obviously,
Mhm.
right? And building that brand and community probably is number one. I mean, I'm just looking at it from like a macro perspective, right? Because
Mhm.
that's gonna provide loyalty to what you're doing. So can you talk a little bit more about that, like how you guys are doing that, or on what platform that is? Is it in house, and like what's your strategy there?
Yeah, so currently we've been reaching out to a lot of gaming communities through online hubs like Reddit, and our Discord has grown a lot very rapidly in the past year. So
What I'm sorry,
yeah, we've been
what's the user base on the Discord?
we have about 150 signups on our Discord currently.
When did you guys start?
We started last year, but the thing is we haven't heavily promoted, focused on marketing at all really in the past
Mhm.
year outside of a couple $100 here and there. So we haven't really heavily focused. We've been focusing on the product development.
Of the 500K, is there a paid campaign? Is there a go to market as far as paid campaigns, or is it more going to be like in the first iterations, more organic?
More organic in the first iterations.
Yeah, just to speak on the brand, we back to compare ourselves to DraftKings or FanDuel, they're just kind of trying to fold in esports into their existing sports platform, which doesn't really mesh with gamers like self identifying with, like, they don't want to feel like second class, like members of these sites. So we're going to cater directly to them, and we really want to focus our brand on kind of like the glorifying the winning and with through the leaderboards and the victory screens, and just really like focus on becoming so great that everyone is like super jealous of you and trying to and just completely envious of you and trying to climb the top just to take you down.
Will you all have a significant push for like user generated content? That's kind of what I'm hearing a little bit as far as like when you win a game, you want to share your scoreboard, you want to share it with community. Like, can you talk a bit more like UGC? Because I can kind of see it how you're trying to create this environment of competition with each other, and like the skins you mentioned. So you don't just win the money, but you win like some asset associated with it. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So that's our gamification, and like you said, when a user wins, we want you to feel like not only did you just win money, but you're standing out from everyone else within the community, and things like skins and victory screens really help you stand out.
Yeah, we see people share their like Fortnite victory royales like on social media all the
Mhm.
time. So we just kind of taking that with customizable victory screens of our own and our own kind of character models that just be like, oh, what's that? Have that's and just really
Yeah.
just grab attention all over social media.
Yeah, and one of the most interesting things that we found while doing this is that people didn't really want to share their own stories or things about themselves, a lot of people shared like GoFundMe's and support for causes that they believed in, which we thought was really interesting. We thought everyone would just post like their Twitch stream or YouTube just to get some kind of self promotion out of it, but it was really genuine to see our users sharing what they believed in. And I believe that's one of the main things that Infamy can offer. You don't even if you win, you can still support what you believe in through winning in esports.
Okay, so I'm just kind of picturing in my head. So you're basically playing for another cause, essentially, something bigger than yourself, and sharing that
Yeah,
with others.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's on a user by user basis. So for you, that may be how you want to play Infamy. For me, I may just want to promote my Twitch stream, and yeah, it's to each user.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Any traction on streamers and like streaming the content and like in-game watch parties for like watching the actual matches and things like that? Is there any traction there or any thoughts around that?
So we have talked a lot about reaching out to streamers and doing cross brand promotion that way. We haven't started on it, but yeah, that's definitely a huge outlet that we want to start exploring with things like Twitch bounty boards to get streamers on board and cross promoting the product.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially
any
watch
other
parties.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick to add on, just especially like watch parties, like if you're like sometimes there's a lull in the action from it's like, okay, let's go check the Infamy leaderboard, see how the players are performing. So that's why live stat updates are going to be a big part of our product and really can lend itself to content creators.
Now, are you all building the watch party tech, or would you use a third party for that, like a Discord or something like that?
The watch party tech would be just in our platform. We have all the
Okay.
leaderboards updating, so you could just have you could pull up Infamy while you're watching whatever tournament you're watching and see stats update in real time.
And
Yeah,
then
we
you,
want to
I
add
would. Oh, go ahead. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
yeah, sure. Just like Twitch integration as well, like directly through the site, so you're kind of don't have to leave to watch your favorite streamers watching and interact with them. So we want to keep them on board the app as long as possible.
Are y'all looking into? I think I cut out like towards the end of the presentation, but are you guys going to be overlaying like and gamifying it like as the match is going on to create that engagement, or is that going to be some integration? Or I'm just trying to like figure that out too.
We haven't really dove into that avenue yet. We're currently working on fleshing out the platform, but that isn't something we have taken off the table. The main reason why we're skeptical about it is I know a lot of overlays can cause problems while you're playing games or watching things. So it's a dicey market to get into, but we're definitely going to look into it. And once we have it down pat, we'll probably explore that avenue.
And then you mentioned, sorry, I may have. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say real quick, and I know we're running short on time. 3 quick questions, if I can get it, just rapid fire. About 1,000 users on the platform to date, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Nice. Okay. And what would be the retention of those individuals month over month? You know, how many of those would stick on the platform month over month?
So we're seeing
10%.
about a 40% retention rate.
It's good. That's good. Estimated value of a user to you in the course of this first year. So estimated value of the user, and then projected revenue for the course of 2021 for the business.
So for the course of 21, our projected revenue is $40,000. We want to hit that through just white label. And what was the first part of your question?
What would the value per user be in revenue? So is it approximately that 125, the 5% of $25 per individual? $1.25?
Yes. So our value for user, our lifetime value for a user projected is $45 per user. That's not just including the service fees, that's including multiple paid tournament entries and stuff like that, cosmetics.
So understood. So the question would be, in the first year, what do you think a user would be worth to you?
So in the first year, a user would be worth, I would say, about double their CAC, but because we're mainly focusing on the white label development, but next year, once we have enough money to start focusing on paid, then that value will go up.
Gotcha. And last question for me, very quickly, is what keeps you up at night thinking about building this platform, building this community? What's the primary concern for you guys, or primary issue that you just always think about?
Mainly, it would be the legality of it all. As you know, gambling, skill-based gaming is a gray area. It is it is trending in an upward manner. As Steve said, 43 states it is completely legal. Only seven it's not. But it still is one of those things that can be switched on at the drop of a dime. So we are wary of that, which is why we're fleshing out these other outlets of revenue, so that way we don't fall into these fantasy pitfalls if something does go awry with daily fantasy sports or daily fantasy sports in the legal system. But yeah, it would have to be legality.
It's great. Thank you both. Thank you guys.